So no one ever really wants to talk about their most embarrassing story, so we kind of have like those runner-up embarrassing stories, so that if we do get called upon, we can kind of just default to that one, so we don't have to talk about the one. Because if it really was that embarrassing, then would we even bother to tell it? Maybe it makes way more sense to talk about it in the past tense, like, what was the most embarrassing feeling that you've experienced? Or in the present tense, like, what's a memory you still hold right now that currently gives you the most amount of embarrassment? Logically, I just kind of feel like it collapses in on itself, but we're gonna put all the philosophy aside. Let me paint a picture for you. It's your junior year of high school and you have a lot going on. You're trying to get your main band off the ground in the final years before you leave for college. You just joined another band that's about to hit like the YouTube stratosphere. You're helping out a lot of other bands in your city with their own projects. You're trying to maintain a high GPA. You're playing a lot of sports. You're getting prepared to just apply to colleges. You're teaching private music lessons and you're trying to maintain a relationship. You're usually up at about 6:45 a.m. heading off to school to help out in the tutor center and to go finish up some of your own homework. Then you go to school for like 8 hours. Then you have to go to hockey practice, which is held an hour and a half away because your city unfortunately doesn't have any available hockey rinks. So then you come home, shower, go to band practice for a few hours, then you come home and then you do homework and then you do SAT prep, you do some college application stuff, and then you fall asleep on your floor, fully clothed at about 2 a.m. and then you repeat. And then you get a text from your mom that says this. It just says you need a day off. And it's very, very eerie to read this back after so many years, especially because for context, if I'm sending this text at like 9:42 p.m., it probably means that I was just on my way home to start my homework. Moving along, it's a Wednesday and you're spending some time with your significant other when all of a sudden you realize that you're supposed to be at work teaching some makeup lessons to some students who had missed their lesson the week before. So your significant other, rightfully so, is pretty upset with you for your lack of organization. And more than anything else, your need to do everything, taking priority over this other commitment that you had made with them that day. So you get the death glare as you sprint out of your house on your way to work, and on the way home, you fall asleep at the wheel due to pure exhaustion. At a local park about less than a block away from your house, you somehow managed to roll your car twice, even though you're only going 30 miles per hour, which like, I don't even think Travis Pastrana has been able to figure out the physics on that one. You get out of your car completely unscathed, believe it or not, to a flock of people just kind of staring at you, completely marveled at how you just got out of your car. I mean, you can like literally hear a pin drop. It is just so silent. The airbag's fully deployed, there's glass all on your hair, whole 9 yards. As you'd expect, your family comes down, grab you and take you to the hospital, make sure you're all right, while the cops come and take care of your car. Not only did the doctors at the hospital not know that you have a very intense phobia of, well, them, and also blood pressure cusps, but they also have their interns there in-house to work on you that day. After about 5 minutes of unsuccessfully trying to get your blood pressure taken by these interns, you rip off the blood pressure cuff and throw it on the ground and say that they are not going to be taking your vitals today. Just ripping off the band-aid with that one. So the doctor examines you and says that you're totally fine, there's nothing wrong with you. But your family, concerned for your safety, books you an overnight appointment with a pulmonologist, and you're kind of fine with this because you're just hoping deep down that there's some sort of clinical reason to blame for falling asleep at the wheel. So you go overnight to the sleep study and you have the nodes all attached to your face and the heart rate monitors, and you just binge Emma Chamberlain for like a day and a half with nobody talking to you, only to find out that there's really nothing wrong with you. You briefly develop that reputation at school for the guy who just f***ed up his car and can't really be trusted by anybody. And it's a very weird feeling to be paranoid that the people in the car with you don't really trust you, but then having that more overwhelming thought of like, well, they have a right to not trust me. Well, that would really suck to be that person. But good thing we're just painting a picture here. This was and is my most embarrassing experience in life. This was not like a shark attack caused by some epic f***ing Kelly Slater surfing shit on a 50-foot wave on the coast of Portugal. I just didn't listen to people for telling me that I was doing too much. The funny thing is, nobody even told me to take on all those things that I was taking on. I just did it because I wanted to, and I learned the hard way how dangerous that can be. My dad, a physician, always drones on about how, in his estimates, about 75% of the stuff that he sees in the hospital are completely preventable. And I'm like, I'm the statistic. Some of you might be watching this video right now thinking, Sam, you're being a little bit too hard on yourself, don't you think? I mean, you weren't recklessly driving and you weren't under the influence or anything, and that's a very fair point, but I still had all the warning signs and I chose to ignore them because I'm stupid. There were a lot of people that actually told me that the way that I was living was probably gonna end dangerously, and I still made the bad choice. And finally, before I cut to the happy music and deliver the positive message on this whole thing, has anybody stopped to consider how unbelievably, mathematically fucking lucky I am to have not killed somebody at a children's park rolling a 3,500-pound vehicle? That is probably the single scariest thing that I still experience nightmares from today. Okay, so why am I even telling you all this? Well, now we can cue the uplifting music. So I think I'm describing something that's probably well documented, but it's a phenomenon that I kind of like to call red button issues. You know, right before you're about to make a really big purchase, and you wish you could just hit a red button and just fast forward to when the whole experience was over. You just had it, you didn't have to go through the pain of actually handing over the credit card. Or maybe you have to have that really uncomfortable discussion with someone in your life that causes you extreme discomfort, and you should just hit that red button and fast forward to when things are finally better. You don't have to actually sit through the discomfort. This was basically my red button issue. I tried to get in the car the very next day, and then my family very firmly vetoed me, but I was trying to expedite the process of just getting back to normal. But I had to take time away from hockey, I had to take time away from music, I even had to take a little bit of time away from school. I was basically trying to skip forward to the point where people weren't like scared to be in a car with me, or it wasn't just all that was talked about in like the cafeteria at lunch or something. But with who I am today, I'm actually pretty grateful for the way that things played out. Easily one of the most humbling experiences in my entire life. But it made me such a better person. I mean, I was so much more well equipped to sit in discomfort and have those really jaw-tensing conversations with people, but still keep my composure. I did a lot of work on myself to try and make sure that I became safer. I went to driving schools, I readjusted my sleep schedule, I dropped a lot of commitments. I basically took everything that I felt was making me unreliable and tried to fix it. What initially robbed me of so much of my confidence and turned me into that dog with the cone of shame, now kind of turned me into a really good version of myself. I mean, in the dog analogy, I was basically like the dog at the park who still had the cone of shame, but wasn't embarrassed about hitting its cone on the door frame whenever it walked in somewhere. I still work a lot, to be totally honest with you, but nowadays, if I have a video shoot that runs till 2 a.m., I don't wake up at 6 a.m. still. I'll just wake up whenever I wake up. I guess the thing about embarrassing moments is that everybody has them, and in the binary of learning to be comfortable with them and not learning to be comfortable with them, choosing the high road is kind of like buying insurance. It kind of sucks to become friends with the really uncomfortable moments in your life, because what are the chances that somebody's just gonna randomly call upon you to talk about it? Well, probably the chances of a tornado hitting your house. Not very high. But when it does happen, you're really happy that you bought that insurance. That was not my best analogy, but I think you get what I'm saying. I'll never forget the time that I finally had the discussion about my car accident with somebody who I'm very, very close to. And they seemed very shy at first. They almost seemed resistant to the conversation. And I thought, well, surely it's just because, well, they're probably very uncomfortable talking about me almost dying. And I'm sure that is true. But then they also opened up to me about the time that they had totaled their dad's Porsche when they were a teenager, just having a little bit too much fun in daddy's sports car. And then the curtains just blew wide ass open, and I was just like, holy shit, everybody has these moments. Some of them are not car accidents, yes, and some of them are not as severe as my accident, for sure. But everybody has had to make peace with at least one uncomfortable situation in their life. So obviously, most people in my life technically didn't forget that I had like a really serious car accident. But I think because I've made sure that it's not so taboo to talk about it, in a weird way, it's almost like they did forget. It's just a part of me now. I mean, I jokingly say that my car accident is kind of like my first and only tattoo, because I don't actually have any tattoos. It's just a part of me now. It's with me forever. It was uncomfortable, and there were some feelings of regret and guilt behind it, but I've learned to just be its friend. I was gonna say that this video is meant for anybody who's experienced this level of embarrassment before, but let's be real, all like 42 people who watch my YouTube videos have experienced this, so it's probably important that I get a little bit more specific. If you watch this video and you get that tingling sensation in your stomach that maybe you haven't fully made peace with that one embarrassing moment in your life, well, maybe this is your sign to do it. Please don't confess to a murder or something in my comment section, but maybe this is your sign to talk to a professional about something that's been bothering you, or maybe even just a close friend. Because I never thought that I would have been making a video so publicly to a camera and an audience about something that brought me so much shame at one point in my life. Something that made me embarrassed to be like a part of my family or my community. Something that made me question all the time if I deserved anything that I had, because I just completely endangered the lives of everybody who was at that park that day. And who knows, maybe I shouldn't even really be alive because of that accident. But I am here telling this to a camera, to an audience, which 99% of you people would never have had to have known. I could have just taken this to the grave. So don't do anything that you're uncomfortable with, but I hope that everybody who watches this video takes a second to reflect on if there's anything in their life that they're living with that they do need to make peace with. So in conclusion, everybody poops, so you might as well learn to wipe. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any embarrassing stories that you feel comfortable sharing, feel free to comment them down below. They always generate very interesting dialogue. And as always, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment any future videos you'd like to see down below.